Sorry for the no music here. I don't know what's going on with that. I blame Windows. Oh yeah. Fedora, I gotta tell you, I got something for you. It's pretty sweet. All right, well, let's do this thing. All right, let's go chat. Oh wait, maybe no green screen chat. Well, anyways, sorry for the no music today. I usually have my music. Oh, and let's go ahead and put some lights on. So anyways, yeah, I've been doing a lot of work lately, specifically around Fedora. I think it's my new favorite distro. Like I've done Arch and Debian, and I was kind of flip-flopping between the two because Arch is more bleeding edge, and then you got Debian, which is more stable and a little older packages, and I just kept going back and forth. And I gotta say, Fedora's kind of like this good equal ground. It has a rolling kernel, so you get a little bit more in the kernel side of things. Its packages are a bit newer than Debian, but a bit older than Arch. I mean, it's actually pretty nice. So, and I honestly like its package manager better than apt over in Debian and Pacman over in Arch. And I think I really enjoy it. The only issue is I hate GNOME. Like, absolutely hate GNOME. Like, this whole experiment with my last week's new desktop was using Material Shell in GNOME base, and after a week of that, it just made me want to punch my computer. So I think really is doing a full Fedora server and then just building everything myself to be exactly how I want it. So the new desktop looks kind of like this. You see, looks kind of like my custom Debian Titus build, which I was kind of bringing in to here. I still need to do some things. You'll notice like the black X here. That's because I don't think I've put anything in. Like I think we could do Fey, we could do Variety, we could do a lot of different things for the desktop. So we got to work on the desktop a little bit today. Pull in like maybe an image, make this a little bit prettier. But I pulled in most of my configs from my Debian Titus revision, and I gotta say, I really, really am enjoying this. So I might change up some of the icons as well, and then I think fix the power menu. Power menu is a little bit off, so we need to fix those icons up. So we'll try to do that as well. That's kind of the agenda for today's stream, is getting that background icon fix, and then kind of gelling together my perfect desktop, because I do love how this looks, how it operates and feels. And we could even pull up a game. I've done a lot of gaming in this past week just because, well, it's Linux gaming has come a long ways, and some games are actually playing better. Now it's not clickbait, and that was kind of blew my mind. And when I say better, I mean I'm actually playing both in an optimized version of Windows and my Linux desktop. And I wanted to try to build out my desktop and then pull up like a game, maybe do a quick run through. I think I was using Apex Legends this last video. We'll probably use that because I was getting like upwards of 100 frames on Linux on that, which is bonkers to me. So let me catch up with chat here. See everybody saying good morning, having a great morning here. And then also I got some other big news, which I know probably will depress some people, but I'm trying out a lot of Apple crap stuff, whether it's the iPhone to the Apple Watch. My family's doing some kind of fitness challenge, so I was like, sure, I'll try it. So I got a refurbed iPhone and an Apple Watch now. So I'm going full Apple fanboy. Probably do a video on that sometime. No April Fool's joke on that. So, ugh. But so far I've enjoyed it. Coming from Android, I did do little preview for that video. Actually, we can probably do let's do that over here. Or actually chat. Sorry. Oh no, green screen chat. Fine Phone Pro. So I got that in. It's a Linux phone, and I was like trying out from going from my Android to my Linux phone, and I got everything working. I programmed up like the ASMs to work with Google Fi, which is my carrier, so I could do calls and text messages. That did work. However, I didn't last more than 24 hours daily driving it, just because it is extremely rough around the edges right now. So much so, I was just missing so many features that if I made a video about this, it would just be me crapping on the PinePhone Pro for probably an hour. There was so much that still needs to be done on it. But I will revisit it in about probably a year. I would say it still needs at least a year of development to get it somewhat functional for an average day user compared to what most people use, which is iOS and Android. Having said all that, this whole thing happened with my family. I checked out iOS, and I had the last iPhone I had was the iPhone 3, so that would have been 12 years ago. I don't know, a long time ago. I had the original iPhone, which was all aluminum, and then the iPhone 3 that instituted Exchange so you could sync with Outlook. And I pulled up, I think this refurb's not the newest iPhone. It's like an iPhone 12, because I'm not going to go spend $1,300 on a new iPhone. That's ridiculous, paying that much for a phone. And yeah, trying that out. I'll probably make a video, Android iOS, what that looks like. I tried their migration app, which was hilariously bad. Apple needs to do better there. Let's just say it's been a rough day or two for me. So that's kind of what's happening on those front. I know. Yeah, I'm kind of there with you guys on everything, but you know what? It's important to understand where the world's at and what other people are using, so you can have a unbiased review, or you understand where everyone's sitting on things. So that's why I do it. Jailbreak, maybe. We'll see how far I have with it. So far, I'm enjoying the stock experience, but then again, I don't really use my phone as much as many people. Most people use it in a different fashion from me. I usually disable all notifications, and I check my phone seldomly. I know that sounds weird, being a tech YouTuber, not really being on his phone much, but that's just kind of how I am. What version? I think it was 18.1. I need to look back to see what that is, and I think I needed to add an extension for that. It's been a long time. I don't even know if it's still operational, but I do need to revisit the old Minecraft server. What phone are you using today? Oh, let me pull it out here. I think it's the old right there. It's a iPhone 12 regular. I don't think it's the Pro or the Pro Max or whatever it is. It's just the regular one. So it's a gen behind, I think, or maybe 2 generations old. I actually started my own a while back. It just became too much of a drama, and people talked about politics and all kinds of nastiness, and it was just I hate people. So I don't want to do that. I know that sounds counterintuitive being on social media, but running a Discord server was enough to where I was like, nah, I'm good on the Discord. I love jumping in other people's servers, but I have no desire to ever run another one of those servers. That was just dealing with that was not fun. Have you figured out by now that Elden Ring worked better on Fedora because of Wayland? Or can this be done on Arch 2? You can run it on Arch 2, Peter. That whole thing with the performance drop on Arch was not Arch's fault. I should definitely stipulate that. The fault was purely me doing me things, which means tinkering. and I was using a compositor. I think it was, which we're going to actually try out today. Actually, Elden Ring would probably be a good one to try out just because I want to see how it does, because I was using PyCom as the compositor, and the compositor was stealing all the resources from the game, causing the FPS to drop in half. And I don't know if it was PyCom's fault or the fact I was in KDE as well, which KDE uses KWin for some things, and it has its own built-in compositor for window management. And I don't know if they're conflicting or what was happening, but I'm going to say 100% that was my fault, not Arch's fault. I think it was just a bad configuration on my part, and I think that would be it. I've tried Sway a lot, and I just did not like it. Sway's a window manager based on Wayland. I've gone back to Xorg, and we can run a game real fast in Xorg just to see if it's an Xorg Wayland thing. I don't think it is, but we'll double check on that real fast, because that's a really good one too. Could you share your BSPWM config? Yeah, it's actually already configured. If you go to my GitHub and look at Debbie and Titus, all the config files are there. I just pulled it down. John, thanks so much for the super chat. Thanks again for the help on Twitter the other day. I learned my lesson about being impatient on CPU. Yeah, I mean, that happens to the best of us, man. It's just, it's one of those things. Be patient whenever you're putting stuff in. If you ever do bin pins on a CPU processor, sometimes you can take a razor blade and straighten the pins up and put them in. But just remember, whenever you're putting together a computer, never force anything. Usually a jiggle, or it'll just usually just fall into place, so to speak, as long as it's in the proper slot or positioned the correct way. So I always just remind people, be patient, and try not to force anything when building a computer. But honestly, everybody makes that mistake, and probably the most common mistake I have with that, or that I see users do, is when they're going to replace their CPU at all, they go to pull it out, and that thermal paste is really, it adheres pretty good to the processor. So you almost have to do like a little twist motion to kind of break that seal, and then you can pull that out. Some people just try and yank it out directly on the heatsink, and they end up breaking the CPU latch, which ends up making the motherboard, you got to RMA it at that point, because there's no fixing it. So be careful with those things, guys, if you're building computers. And again, I'm not a hardware guy. I've just built maybe not very many, probably like 100, 150 computers in my life. So I consider that a novice as far as computer building. I'm not a big hardware person. I'm more software based. I can build plenty of computers. It's just not my bag. I'm just not a big fan. It is totally Fedora time today. We'll jump into it here in just a second. A PF Sense question. My traffic shaper doesn't catch the torrent P2P traffic. Yeah, traffic shaping in PF Sense is overly complex. It's kind of a pain to do. It's probably getting by using some kind of port, or sometimes torrents can use port 80 to bypass this. There's ways around it that you can get around some torrenting, but the traffic shaper should shut out like 90% of the traffic at least, or a good chunk of it, for sure. I've already kicked GNOME to the curb. I absolutely hate GNOME. I still stand by that stance. I'm gonna use BSPWM today, so totally my thing. It is. Fedora Titus is in the making. We're gonna be messing with it today. I have ditched Arch. Well, for the time being, like Arch and me have like this back and forth. It's just like my side mistress. that's the best way to put Arch. It's like, it's when I want to have fun kind of thing. And then I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go back to my other distro now. So I'll always bounce around, but I usually always keep my config. So I don't really care what distro I'm in. I can make my system pretty much look the same no matter what. We aren't using 36 beta. We're going to be using 35 stable, which is pretty good. Is X-Wayland? Yeah, so X-Wayland kind of sucks. I've tried to use it. Synergy relies on Xorg to use, and I use Synergy to go between my systems here, and it does not work on Wayland. It kind of works on X-Wayland as long as you dedicate like a workspace to it. Then you switch that workspace, and then you can push it over, but it's super jank, and it's really buggy. So X-Wayland is not really a great solution to use Xorg apps, at least not right now. I don't know if anything can be done about that or not. That's a really good question. But yes, no, I'm like, yeah. Yeah, this is actually a good one too. I think I did one a while back, and I probably need to revisit that because I used to partition my hold home folder and then just bring in that partition to any new distro I do. But these days I don't really like pulling in my old home folder because I feel like it just kind of junks up the new install. So I usually just grab like my .config folder, and then sometimes I'll grab like the .local and some other home folders that I do like to pull over from install to install. It just kind of shaves like 8 hours off of my configuration to where, you know, on a new install, I might spend 30 minutes configuring it and I'll pretty much be back to where I was instead of spending like a week getting all my stuff back. Where pulling in the .config files is probably the biggest time saver there. So I do need to make a video about that, Sam. I have not. For those that like distro hopping. Stop distro hopping when. I stayed with Debian Sid for six months. I was on Arch for about 6 months. And then, I don't know, I've been kind of feeling the change of different things, and I've kind of been all over the place. I've been daily driving Chrome OS. Inside machine, I completely removed, and I put a Mac Mini there, so I've been on Mac OS completely inside. And then out here in the studio, I've switched to Fedora, and then I dual boot Windows, although I haven't really been in Windows for the past week or so, as I've been just kind of really heavy in Linux lately. I'm all over the place. There's no day where I'm like not in 3 different operating systems. Sometimes 4 different operating systems. If I'm on my Chrome OS box, for the Chrome OS is like one of those things I'm kind of forcing myself to use that laptop, but after this month or the 30 days is over of using it, I will not use it on purpose. I just wanted to be very, very versed in it and understand it, and yeah, I hate it. It's probably my least favorite operating system to deal with is Chrome OS, just because of some of its limitations. Not to say it's a bad operating system. For a certain person, it's a good operating system. I'm just not that certain person. Yeah, I think I actually paid for Synergy like way, way long ago, but I did make a video about Barrier and told people to use it. So don't spend money on Synergy. I wanted to see the difference between the paid Synergy and Barrier. And the paid Synergy isn't really any different than regular Barrier. I think there's maybe a couple different additions, but in my experience, Barrier's just as good as Synergy. Yeah, I can't really say much more than that, I guess. Synergy, I think, was gonna sponsor a video a while back, but I don't think that's happening ever since I've made my free Barrier video. It said, it's just as good as Synergy. Don't waste your money. So, yeah, well. Yeah, no. Oh, geez. I haven't checked out... Ashita Linux is coming out for the M1. I'm looking forward to that as well. We'll see. We'll see how I do. But I do have 2 Mac Minis now, and I've kind of enjoyed that. Linux Mint. I still love Linux Mint. Still recommend it for a lot of folks that are new to Linux because it has a really good desktop environment. I just don't really use it much myself anymore. I kind of like to tinker a little bit more than Well, probably than most, probably more than anybody. But I mean, it's just, I kind of like to start with the server, like a CLI with nothing. And then I like to just add in everything that I use. And it doesn't matter what Linux you're on, you can just do that. And then you build out your own system that is just magical. It's directly to you, which is great. It's great. So best distro, it depends on the person. You know, one person's best distro is different from another. Probably the most worthless thing in the world is the top 5 distro lists out there. They get the clicks and people love to see them, but it's pointless. I should make like a top 5 distro and be like Linux from scratch, number 1, Gentoo, number 2, number 3. I'll do like Red Hat Enterprise Linux, number 4. I would do just to completely mess with people. If I was thinking I should have done that for today's April 1st video. Oh, that would have been great. Oh, that would have been so much fun. Actually, one of my first distributions, Titus Pi, is all based off of Awesome Window Manager. I used to do Lua configs for a company called SiteBoss. They used it to control a variety of different components remotely. So like with AT&T, some big tech firms, I think Facebook and some other ones contracted through this company I worked for, where we built out these rigs, these mobile rigs that you can put in different places. I dealt with like ATF, FEMA, a lot of different places that needed disaster recovery solutions or remote usage of internet and phones. So I usually built out all the telephony devices that were in there, and SiteBoss was also another device that I used to do Lua programming for, and you could get in there and change the configs. It was a lot of fun, and learned a lot. And you could basically turn off and turn back on things, see the power state of different ones. But anyways, I digress. Lua's fun, and if you are familiar with the Lua language, Awesome Window Manager is really cool. Exactly that. Just a TTY. Yeah, there's nothing better than Linux CLI. That's the best. You put me in any Linux CLI, and it just feels like home. No one can be mad at a regular Linux CLI. If you're a Windows user, I would probably say KDE. KDE's really feature rich and pretty darn good. And then if you're coming from like Mac OS, probably like an elementary OS is what I'd recommend. Very good, clean, very Mac-esque. There's a lot of other ones though. I mean, it's so subjective when you get to desktop environments as well. Oh man, I've heard such good thing about Calyx OS. For those security, privacy-minded people, check out Calyx OS. For those folks that want to try security and privacy and actually want to be secure and private, too many people focus on your computer. Really, your phone is what you should be focusing on, because that's where all your security and privacy leaks. That thing that tracks you, that sits on your pocket, that listens to you, all of those things. If you want to try and be secure and private, check out Calyx OS. I'm not really making videos about privacy and security anymore. I had a real bad experience when someone like contacted me and told me their name or something, and then I didn't respond because I'm a busy guy and I still have like my regular job, and then I'm doing all this stuff on the side. And yeah, let's just say I don't have time to respond to every email. And I didn't respond to this guy, and then he sent me back something else that was basically threatening my life. And I was like, okay, I'm done with that group of people. I'm never making another security privacy video in my life. Just wackadoos everywhere in that realm, and I just can't. So I'm done with the security privacy videos. I don't think I'll ever. Oh no, what'd Brody do? I love Brody. He makes some good videos. I'll have to check that out, Don. Gosh, I should have made an April Fool's video. I was under the gun to do some other stuff, so I didn't. Yeah, yeah. I mean, hey, I don't mind talking about on live streams. I'll talk about anything. I don't care. But yeah, privacy and security is kind of a funny thing, but most people don't understand. It's almost impossible to be private and secure in today's world. Many times you have so much facial recognition in a lot of spots. You have. Unless you live out in the country and like your own ranch, there's so much Wi-Fi snooping that happens. You have Bluetooth. There's just too much point of contact, especially when you have iOS or an Android device. These devices just share everything, and it's impossible to hide from them. So when someone's like, hey, I'm not using Windows because it spies on me, I'm like, yeah, but what's your phone? Because your phone's the worst transgressor out of anything. So if any of them are like, I use Android or I use iOS, I'm like, well, you should probably start with that and then go from there, because those things are the worst for privacy and security. Windows just sends back some telemetry data. I mean, it's not really that big a deal compared to what your phone shares. Your phone shares infinitely more, probably 10, 20 times more identifying marks than a standard desktop environment would, or operating system would. So yeah, no, that's why I'm like, I don't really care about the security and privacy aspect of, at least the privacy aspect of Windows. It's not a big deal to me. It's more of the performance stealing that they do in the background that really chaps me. I'm like, hey, I just want to use my computer to the maximum of its ability. That's my goal. No, I don't think so. Maybe. I mean, they have a really good relationship with each other, so it's possible. But hey, you never know. Oh yeah, Jay was gonna do a April Fool's Dad Linux thing. I meant to get him a thing. He actually contacted me, and I was gonna do a dad joke and send it back to him, but I just had so much go on this past day, I didn't get it back to Jay. But that's cool. Yeah, Jay LaCroix at Learn Linux is a good dude. So good. Let's see. Oh man, y'all are chatty today. Zorin OS, yeah. It's really cool. They do a better job of like completing the whole operating system kind of deal. The partition move, and that's one thing. If you're dealing with partitions, Linux is kind of really awesome. Even if you don't use Linux, using Linux for like recovery and partition moving and copying and cloning is really important, especially if you're in IT. I couldn't imagine being in IT and not understanding how to use Linux at all. It's in today's, there's just so many good open source tools. You just can't do it. Make a video on how to connect my network from work. Windows is much easier. Well, there's a lot of ways to connect networks. Zero tier is probably one of the easiest. If you don't want to do like a full-blown VPN, like OpenVPN, I did a video how to connect a VPN using OpenVPN, but this is like an older solution that's more tried and true. Today's world, like services like Zero Tier and some other ones that are kind of escaping my mind right now don't require port forwarding and some other complexities of setup that you just basically run something on a computer in that network, and then that whole network will get shared quite easily. So, obviously that's a little bit of a security risk, but at the same time, I really like it. All right, man. I'll have to look it up, Joshua. Nix OS, you will love it. Oh, man. Thanks for the super chat, by the way, too. Oh, let's see. As Linux drivers are more optimized for older cards, and say the case is opposite for newer cards. I don't agree. What about you? It depends on the card. So, like NVIDIA cards right out of the gate are pretty darn good with their Linux drivers. And if you get an NVIDIA card right on launch, typically the Linux drivers are there and very functional. AMD is a little bit different story. So this is where you get a little bit of the experience difference is different in Linux because of this. AMD works because it integrates with the kernel. So if you're on like an older like LTS release, like Ubuntu 20 or another old stable release like maybe Debian 11, you'll be basically using an old kernel that has never seen that card. So let's say you could go buy a brand new AMD card right on release. So let's say the AMD 7000 series graphics card or whatever the new generation is that's coming out. You buy it right on launch day, it's not going to work on any of these old kernels. And on the new kernels, it's not going to be all that well optimized because they haven't had time to really work out a lot of the kinks. And usually that takes about 6 months after launch on a rolling release. On these stable releases, usually several years. It just depends on the timing. And that's why you see a big difference and why some people say older cards work better on Linux, because almost every single distro knows all these old cards, where the new ones, it just depends on the release cycle of that distro and how well it works. And for those Windows users out there, they're going, well, what the hell are you guys talking about? Linux doesn't really have drivers per se. Everything's in this one module basically that has all these drivers built in, so it should be just plug and play in a good scenario, as long as your hardware's compatible. In a bad scenario, or one where you're on bleeding edge hardware that isn't well optimized, a lot of those kernels don't have those needed drivers. However, as Linux matures more and more and has more and more people using it, yeah, I mean it works out. That time frame's getting faster and faster with each year, so it's good. But to answer your question, that's kind of the roundabout of it. If you're using NVIDIA, usually you're good on launch day. If you're using AMD, yeah, good luck. It's not going to be fun for probably about 6 months. And that's kind of the gist of it. But having said all that, I like using at least a year-old AMD card. That's my ideal Linux setup on my desktop. I'm not a big NVIDIA fan when it comes to it. I just hate having to do DKMS modules to do the driver and NVIDIA, and a lot of the native NVIDIA drivers aren't great. Although they are getting better. A lot of it has, you no longer have to do like PPAs in Ubuntu, and Arch, obviously, just right out of the gate, you just do like, Pacman-S and NVIDIA-driver, and it just installs. So a lot of the install processes are getting much easier. Better in terms of support? Probably. I would say so, just because Intel has such a good working relationship with Linux as a whole. I could totally see that being a thing. Will you do a video about servers and extra? I'm not sure what extra is with the server realm, but yeah, I need to do more server videos. I just haven't. Is there a reason? No, there's no reason why not. I just haven't bothered with Ansible in a while, and I'm constantly changing stuff. My server rack's a complete mess, by the way, right now. I keep changing all my cables around. I can't even cable manage because I'm switching stuff around so much. You might have said, hey, you distro hop a lot. Just wait till you see how much hardware I swap out on the regular. Yeah, Endeavor OS, I've messed around with some of it. I'm just not really big on the forks. If it's like a whole new branch of Linux, I'm fine with. But like Endeavor OS, I'm like, because I like to start with like a base CLI and then build my system. And like people say there's thousands of Linux distributions, and to me, they're all just forks of forks for the most part. To me, there's like Debian, Fedora, Arch, and then some random others like OpenSUSE. But really, to me, there's those three, and they all have different pros and cons to them, and that's it. So to me, there's not thousands of distros. There's just three, really. When you get to desktop Linux, there's three major ones that people use that have a good market share, and then you know, it's just in those buckets of the three, there's all these splinter distros that are all based on the same package manager, just with a different skin. And I can take that and make that distro without all the extra crap. So that's why I don't ever really distro review other than the big three, because I'm like, they all do the same. They're all the same. It's just varying portions of the same thing. What do you have to say about Gentoo? Gentoo is good for like POS systems or systems that aren't really moving very much. I don't think it's suitable for a desktop system though. If you're using your computer all the time and you're changing and adding packages a lot, Gentoo is an awful experience, and no one really should use it for a desktop. It has its place, and you could build a lot of cool things with Gentoo, but using it as a desktop computer is not one of them. Unless you just like pain. If you love to just be in pain and take way too much time to do everything, Gentoo is fantastic for that experience. Gentoo users have left chat. All right, let's get on the desktop. Let's see what we got. Enough talk. Let's see what we got here. This is kind of what I have. Well, this is very familiar probably to many, as Debian Titus was all based on this premise of BSPWM. And I am basically taking this and instituting it into Fedora. I was having some issues with Synergy launching, so I think I was actually in the middle of, what was my last command? I think I was in the middle of actually installing this. And I think let's do that. There we go. And let's see, just to kind of show you how, there we go. I need to come back to it. 1 second. Oh, wait. No, I don't. No. Let me 1 second. Let me go chat. Let me put this in. I don't want to give away my Synergy key. Just use barrier. It's fine. But I bought this and I'm going to use it, by golly. All right. There we go. Let's close that out and we'll come back to the desktop. All right, back to the desktop. Let's try Synergy again. And that way I can respond to chat with my same keyboard and mouse. Did that not work? Looks like it launched twice. Let's pkill Synergy. Pkill Synergy, yes. All right. Synergy, what are you doing, Synergy? Yeah, all right, well. I don't know what's happening with that. I'll probably troubleshoot that offline, though. It's not that big a deal. All right, so we have this. Let's fix the background first. Probably the easiest thing. Let's see if it has variety. Yeah, it does have variety. Variety is kind of a cool, like, all-in-one desktop manager to where it'll just grab whatever the thing is of the day. So let's go variety. Pull that in. Continue. Accept and continue. And I feel like something's happening somewhere in like, is there like a hidden desktop that this stuff's launching to? My task tray seems to be completely broken. Huh. All right, well, that's fun. Well. So I am doing mirrored monitors and I'm trying to merge the workspaces as well. So something's up with that. Variety, is that working? Yeah, Variety's launched, so it's somewhere. Let's see about adding a task tray to BSPWM. Add sys tray BSPWM. Let's see here. is there anything we can do for this portion? I would like it to be shown up somewhere in my bar, but it is not. Drop down menus inside modules. Have a look at the menu module. It's there. Okay. So we could pull it up through Rofi. That's not ideal, but regardless, should be fine. And then what are we using for BSPWM is the next thing. How are we going to see how it's just got this? Once we get a background in, it should not have this black X anymore. It'll be this nice little cursor. As you can see when you're in a program, it's just there's nothing there, so it's Xorg like blank canvas sitting in the background. I kind of like Bing. I know that's kind of crazy, but I kind of like just Bing being there. The photo of the day, but it's not doing it. So let's take a peek at our BSPWM config. Come to workspace 2 is what I'm going to be using, and it's in config BSPWM. And what are we doing for this? I think we have some rules. These rules basically just pushing certain applications to different desktop workspaces. We have our PyCom Synergy S, which is currently not working. Launching. You should probably this ping result is actually just showing waiting for an internet connection before launching Discord, which I don't have installed, and some other things. But I don't see any place where this is actually. Let's see how it's actually setting the desktop. Is there anything in here? Man, it does not look like it. All right, let's go to variety. How's it setting the desktop? I believe that's done through a script. And set wallpaper. All right. And then let's look up BSPWM. All right. So it wants to use Fe or nitrogen. What do you guys think in chat? Fe or nitrogen? I'm thinking Fe. I like Fe, but nitrogen has a little bit better syntax, I think. Kind of in a let me just do a poll here. Fe, nitrogen. Here we go. We're gonna do a poll. Well, which desktop? Which background manager? Can't type today. Fe, nitrogen. X wallpaper. Oh, I love it. I love it. So yeah, you need a desktop or a background manager basically to set a full background. Otherwise, you just get this default gray background, which is basically Xorg. Think of a blank canvas, and we're just kind of figuring out what paintbrush we want to use to paint on that canvas. If we don't, it's just going to always be a blank canvas like this, and we couldn't set pretty much anything on it. Or you could maybe change the color with like Xorg by stock defaults, but I'd be curious. I'd be curious to see what everybody does. Desktop manager. I'm not going to be using a desktop environment for this. We're going to just forgo that. I think it's bloat, as many Linux people would say. But we will use a window manager. BSPWM is what we're using on the screen now. As far as other aspects, we'll just add to it as we need. Maybe you need to enable tray in Polybar. Yeah, let me pull that up too. Once we get to probably 100 votes, I'll probably go ahead and switch out over there. Let's take a look at our polybar config as well. We could probably just do a vim of this. Polybar config and tray. Okay. So this is the monitor it's going on. Bar tray. I don't think that is working at all. But we have a couple different monitors we're dealing with. We have DisplayPort 1. We have HDMI, which is what you all are seeing. That's the mirror here, scaled from a 1440p instance. So we'll probably do, I guess we could do this just to see if it shows up, but I don't know if that'll actually mirror. That's an interesting point. I don't know. Let's see. Let's try and force it and see what happens. If we do DisplayPort 1 and let's do a reload. I think it's like, is that reload? Maybe it's Alt Shift R. Maybe it's Alt R. Ah, that's it. Supermod Alt and R. Did that do anything? Not really. I don't see any difference. Yeah, I'll tinker with that a little bit too. All right, we got some votes in. Let's see who the winner is. Can I end the vote, please? Here we go. Whoa. I did not expect that. I've never used nitrogen before, but chat is saying, "Hey, you big dummy, nitrogen's where it's at." All right, chat. Well, you have told me to use something I've never used before, so we shall proceed to do such. Nitrogen. Let's see if it's in this. I gotta say, Fedora has done such a fantastic job of expanding their repos. I feel like this is just as powerful as Arch. You know, obviously the AUR is not here, but I don't really care about the AUR. So I'm okay with that. Cool. All right. Let's quit variety. And then let's just relaunch that. I think it by default, it like, variety. There it goes. Let's take a peek at general, Bing, manual downloading, color size. Is that not working? It would appear nitrogen is not functioning right now. Let's manually set it. Was there fetched? I can't remember what that was in there in the variety settings. What was config variety fetched? Save manually downloaded wallpapers there. All right. Now let's just do a listing actually of the config variety fetch. Yeah, nothing's there yet. So if we look, go Bing, set that, but it does not set it. Huh. copy to variety favorites. Let's see if favorites, did it? Okay, yeah, it's there. So let's just do a config variety favorites. There's the JPEG we want to set. Let's manually set nitrogen, and then we'll fix the script. Or actually, we probably will just make our own script. But we can try and fix that script for Fedora. I bet variety is just meant for Ubuntu, and maybe there's like a weird thing, or maybe it hadn't been updated in a while. I don't know. All right, nitrogen, help, usage, force, save the background permanently, set the background given the file, zoom fill, scaled. I think we can just do a set scaled, right? That's what most people will want to do. So let's just try nitrogen, set scaled, right? Oops, did I do it twice? I did it twice. Does that work? Yeah, so that does work. Let's see what's wrong with our script then. That's kind of weird. So over on our script, what's it doing? Set zoom fill save wp out dev null. Simple window managers. How's it setting that value simple WMs? Huh. So when it's setting this wallpaper, I'm just looking WP colon desktop. We don't need all this. We're about to simplify this. I'm just looking through to make sure he's not setting anything else here. And then I'm gonna do our own script. I'm just kind of looking to see kind of what we want to do. I feel like we could just do like a 5DG. And then I think that would work. That was the set. What's the get look like? Desktop session. And if we do a neofetch, what's our desktop session? Window managers, BSPWM. Okay, I'm just making sure didn't set it to something funky. BSPWM. It's not even in here. Huh. Could do like a fey grep of that. I mean, fey and nitrogen are so close. I don't think we really need to grep this. I don't think it's that important. So let's come back over to here and see. Okay, yeah, that seems to be working now. So that fixes the script up. I basically removed an if statement and just forced it through using just a nitrogen set scaled. That seemed to have worked pretty well. And if we look at like a blank workspace, that's our desktop. You'll notice our cursor's still jacked up. All right. Oh, I was kind of hoping that would fix that. But there's a setting in Xorg. Oh, did it fix it? Okay, no, never mind. I think it just needed a window to go to for focus. Cool. All right, so then there's this, and we don't want to switch that every bit. We can just switch that every day. Sounds good to me. Copy favorites, manual downloading. All right, cool. Oh, oops. Did I just switch that again? I think that's about variety. That's about all I need to do here. Let's see what's going on with the task trays probably next. Or maybe this, let's fix this next. I'll grab, we'll manually set this to fetch. That's fine. Yeah. So we have our wallpaper set where that should be pretty good. I don't like this picture though. Let's switch that to, let's go with these mountains. That looks cool. Seems still a little bit low res, but it's fine. Still pretty. Better than a gray screen. Next up, the start menu. Fixing our power down menu to show these would be ideal, right? I believe that's using a Rofi type script as well in our config. And if we go into Rofi, power menu, let's go power menu.sh. And then we can see our shutdown, reboot, lock options. For this, I'm going to go to pull like fonts awesome. And we're going to pick we're going to just change the icons. I don't want a whole bunch of different dependencies for icons. That just sucks. So let's go power off. Yes. That's basically what I need. Regular. Now let's copy the glyph. And what we'll do here is just do a straight replace. Oops. That was weird. There we go. So that's going to do that for that portion. And then reboot. Let's try reboot. I don't like that or let's hit reset maybe. Power off, no. Restart. Nope. Sync. We'll do just a regular rotate. Arrows, probably something like that would be ideal. Put that in there. Lock is going to be next. We'll probably do that guy. Suspend. I wonder what we should do for the suspend icon. Probably moon. Sounds like a good one to me. And then we have log off. These might look a little jank, actually. I might have needed to do like the full one. We might come back and redo this. Log off. Log. Log out. Feel like just doing the bold ones would probably have been the way to go here. Well, let's see how this looks. All right. So we have that. And everything looks good except when I selected bold over here. I mean, it's not the worst. It's not the worst design in the world, but we can do better. Feel like this would have been a better glyph. John, you and me both, man. Can't wait to then figure out how to get League of Legends working. That'll take 5 minutes to load. Yeah, I hear you, man. It's only a matter of time. Only a matter of time. Heck, at least it's loading, I guess. And now let's see if that matches everything. Yeah, a little bit better. I feel like these are a little bold for no reason at all. But regardless, it's better than what was there. So that's pretty much done. We might revisit that, fine tune it a little bit, but I do like that shutdown a lot better. Task tray is next. Is this Mac OS 13? Yeah. We would need to grab what is it, the little power bar or the menu, which, I mean, you can emulate that using a variety of different tools, but so polybar is really what needs to happen. Polybar, task tray. Yeah, so this is totally what I need. Come on, Reddit. What you got for me? Nope. All right, let's just, when in doubt, check the configuration, right? Modules, we want probably, what is it? Menu? No, menu's there already. There's got to be a tray of some sort. Tray? Ah, okay. What module is this? Bar. My bar settings. So before it even hits modules, we can put the tray all right here based on these parameters. So let's go to polybar and we'll take a look. So these are the modules, but the tray is right here. The background is just not showing up for whatever reason. What if we just do that, reload. No tray. Tray scale. What could be causing that? Maybe a max size. Yeah, max size of 26. The background's fine. Padding 5. It's tray detached false. What is incorrect with this configuration? Yeah, I guess I could do some blur with the kitty configuration for my terminal, as I do like my transparency. That's a good point. Do like an acrylic blur. That'd be cool. Yeah, gaming focus for sure. I've been gaming a lot more with this system, so it's a good question. Yeah, with 1%, I wonder what if... I feel like this should be like 10%. See if this makes any difference. No, I don't see any difference there. Maybe... What if we got rid of height and width altogether? and offset. Tray position, padding, modules, dash center, void. Let's see if that's in, if we look at here. So before it does the tray, does it actually say, okay, bar, my bar, goes in, monitor. So maybe this is grabbing from an old config before Polybar switched things around a little bit. That could be a thing. So there's the modules. I have a feeling that's kind of what's happening, right? So we have our base settings for bar. I think let's just go ham. Let's just go 6DD. I'm thinking maybe we could do just the tray. Let's see what we have for tray position. So we're gonna document this and just say tray settings. This is duplicate. Gonna try and start as simple as possible and then add on to it. And I don't see tray anywhere else. Tray right, padding 5, shade, max size, detached, false. I feel like that is the base settings that we need. So if we look at that, reset. Oh, we're in business. Except, why do I have so many flame shots open? That's a question. Huh. Yeah. Is that a thing? Oh no. I've launched flame shot 5 times. Oops. How the hell did I launch it so many times? Yeah, let's kill that. Interesting. All right, well, the sys tray is there. The one thing I don't like is the power menu right there beside the tray. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think, chat? I feel like the power menu should be over here, or maybe like to the right of this one. So this kind of sits on its own, and then the tray kind of lives. I know that's a little weird. I just feel like I want to put that power menu somewhere else. Not feeling it. Good design is not my jam. I'm more of a functional kind of user, but still. Yeah, a lot of people are asking why Fedora. This is a good question. I choose Fedora because I love Debian and I love Arch. And Fedora's like sits right smack in the middle of those two distros, where Debian's more stable with stable packages, a little older packages. Arch is a little more bleeding edge with a rolling kernel with a lot newer packages, and the AUR, of course. And then there's Fedora, kind of in the middle, where it has a little bit older packages than Arch, but a lot newer than Debian. And it's a rolling kernel to where you're getting a bit more rolling release, maybe not as new as Arch, but pretty darn close. And it has really up-to-date packages, surprisingly so, that it's very functional. So Fedora, I think, is probably my new favorite base distro. Also, when you know how I used to say distribution doesn't matter. Really what happens with distribution when you choose Fedora, Arch, Debian, all those things, it's just the package manager that really matters. where Pac-Man for Arch, apt for Debian. Well, this has DNF, or denitrified yum. I'm probably saying that wrong. But that package manager does differential updates, meaning you're not downloading a bunch of crap that you don't need like you do with apt or Pac-Man. It's just a faster updater. So it's a better package manager in general. And I think it just does a better job than both of them. So, I don't know. I'm really digging Fedora. Power on the left. Yeah. I do feel like this power menu with the start bar right there, it feels a little weird because now it's jammed in there. And I want to do that a little differently, I think. If we look at vim config, I want to take our power menu, which is all the way at the end. Oops. All the way at the end here. End. Yeah. Let's just take this, and then I feel like we put it to the left of pulse audio with the separator. So we just put that there. Ah, wrong. We would just put it right here with just a separator, and probably left. But let's get rid of this one. It's kind of hard to see that. I need to change my font patterns for Vim. Wait. Is that even my Vim? Oh, I was like, man, that's not like me. Yeah, I need to update my Vim as well. Because I don't even have Plugman or anything in there. And now we can reload, move our power menu to the left of... I think I like that better. I don't know. Or maybe I just jam the power menu, change it to white, and then just jam it into to the right of the time. I'll tinker with it a little bit later. Splitting hairs here. Yeah, I need to make some more installs of Linux. It's just, I think I'm still working on making the perfect one for me. And that's kind of what I'm working on right now is you've probably noticed a lot of my desktops look very, very similar because I find things I like and then I'm like, okay, let me build on that. And this one, I really found something that I really like, and I'm just trying to find the best foundation for it and then getting everything kind of set the way I enjoy it. So that's kind of where I'm at. I wonder how Flameshot is. Oh, on reload, Flameshot is relaunching. Okay. That's a good one. Oops. If we look at this, I want to say for this, we could do the clean. Do we have a clean command here? I feel like I clean this up every relaunch, right? At least that's what I should be doing. Do I launch into clean? Okay, we have the launch, bash launch. Yes, we are doing a clean command, cleaning lingering programs. Let's clean. Yeah. List of apps to run, Synergy, and we'll add Flameshot. Some applicants start child applications and they be killed on reload. That's fine. So now when I reload, should kill Flameshot, relaunch. Okay, well, it got 2 Flameshots up there. Relaunch again. Do we have 3? Or is it just double launching? It's double launching. Okay. Good to know. Easy to fix. So for this, when we do our launch command at the beginning here, or this guy, we probably towards the bottom here launch flame shot, don't we? Yeah, we do. So that's there. So now on relaunch, we should have one flame shot. Perfection. And I need to clean this up a bit more too. But I think for the gist of today, so we got system tray done, our start menu. Over here, we got our power menu fixed. Beautiful. We have all of these working in a mirrored environment, so now my workspaces are working correctly. By the way, I used to have problems with... I used to have a lot of problems with mirroring. So like when I was showing you guys everything on your the screen you're seeing, that was a mirror of mine. And with window managers, it wasn't handling it correctly. But then I looked through the documentation of BSPWM, and there was one command that I figured out can merge overlapping workspaces, which a mirrored workspace would be exactly that. I don't want it secondary ones, and it was this right here, this BSP config merge overlapping monitors true. I didn't have that command in there before, and that was problematic. So it's causing more issues than I was thinking. Let's see. We have anything else? Yeah, this is Kitty Terminal for those that are asking, using a custom config. I use this same config in my Debian Titus project on GitHub. You can pull my configs directly from there. I will be making like a, gosh, I need to make a better name than Fedora Titus, but I'm just so not creative in that realm that I'll probably just call it Fedora Titus. I don't know. We'll see. I'm just like, this is the base system Fedora, run this script to customize it, and then done. And I want to use Fedora Server for that as well. But so far, I'm really digging this setup. I feel like this is my best desktop yet. And I wanted something really, really stable. What are we doing for running processes too? We got 2,147. Yeah, that's because of GNOME and a lot of other craps on here. How much is running though? Oh, was it Bashtop? Yeah, I used Bashtop. Couldn't remember. So our running process account is, where's that in Bashtop? Am I missing it? We got our net. We've got our memory. We've got our disks. Running process count. Where are you? Meh. All right. H-top it is. Old H-top. Tried and true. Does H-top even have process count? I guess I could do like a count of do a PSOX, but tasks 139. Just seeing if there's anything real aggressive here that's taking up my space. Old PyCom, Kitty, Brave, of course, is gonna suck a ton of power. I don't really see anything too bad here as I flip through my processes. Okay. Next up, let's try a game on this new desktop environment. I'm curious to see what ends up happening here. Let's go Steam. Oh, Elden Ring was one that didn't work very well. Let's see what we got. because we switched from Wayland to Xorg, and someone at the beginning of the stream asked, hey, what's the performances? Was it Wayland or was it something else? And I'm curious to see, using a window manager, what this looks like. Updating ticket. I don't think I've ever seen that before. There was easy anti-cheat launch. Now we're coming into game. Got our Mango HUD to the left. Now this one is capped at 60 FPS. Let's see if PyCom and the window manager messed this up. Or maybe it's just like a KDE type deal. I think we should be averaging about 40 frames on the stock settings here when we load in. Okay, well, we're at 60 frames. That's pretty good. Yeah, that's capped. Right? Where am I? Oops. Oh, okay. So, let's just do, I don't know. Let's just go clear out something, see what we get with some. I'm trying to think of somewhere that was like really pretty. That's not a big just snow field. So we're using, I did reseat my processor and switch to a Nocta cooler, by the way. So my thermals are going to be a little bit better than when I did this video. Ah! Huh. Well, still die. Just fine. Oh! I did not realize, but I had 214,000 runes there. I probably should have leveled up a little bit, huh? That was a mistake. Oh! Okay. My controller died! I was like, man, I'm really sucked there. I thought I hit a button. Oh, that's sad. Oh, death to the controller. Oh, that's too funny. Wait. Is this whole thing dead? Maybe this. How many batteries do I have to go through here? Okay. Alright, there we go. Don't die on me, controller. Oh no. I think my Xbox controller, Xbox 360 controller, is finally on the way out. I've had this controller for like pretty much ever. Alright, I don't want to lose all my runes. We're gonna... Just wanted to check some frame rates here. Not actually play the game. Don't kill me. Still smooth, though. Really, really smooth. 40 frames. We can try Apex now. And see what we get. Oh. Wow. Leave me alone. Alright. Let's quit this game. And we'll try some Apex. And see what our frame rates are. But overall, still smooth. So I wonder what happened with my original Arch instance when I made that video. Because that's interesting. Like, really, really interesting. Do I have Apex? Steam? Oops. Nope, 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 nope. Cancel. Cancel. Steam. Launch me some Steam. Apex. There we go. So I'm curious to see what happens. Because I switched up the whole environment. I left everything installed. and I'm just wanting to see if all it affected my frame times or going from Wayland to Xorg. It doesn't look like it, but I do remember, because I just did the video about the FPS here on GNOME, and I was getting anywhere between 70 and about 120 usually in Apex training map. Fetus. The Fedora Titus equals fetus. Oh man, that's too good. All right, so we have this. Let's just switch this over to a training. We'll do the firing range for just quick FPS read. I'm kind of curious because BSPWM's such a minimalistic overhead to where we're not running GNOME and all the extra bloat. In theory, we might even get better FPS than my video, which would be kind of cool. So, because how Linux is getting better FPS, a lot of people didn't understand this, and maybe I did a poor job of explaining it in the video, was it is doing a conversion from DirectX to Vulkan. That's what DXVK is. And when you do that conversion, usually it will lose performance because it's not native. It is literally doing an on-the-fly conversion. However, since Windows is so bloated and it has a massive overhead, and Linux's overhead's considerably less, that's how Linux comes out ahead. It's basically handicapped because of that conversion, but because Linux is using just such a small memory footprint, it's able to give the game more resources it normally wouldn't have in Windows. Okay, that's what was the run command? I forget. Oh, yeah. Got it. About 100 frames right here. And we'll get over to the little things. I think this is actually quite a bit more FPS than when I did the video, because BSPWM usually uses about a half a gig of memory, where Windows memory is usually around optimized, usually around 4 gigs for a Windows 10 or 11 install. But this is 90 frames looking at the center. I think it's about the same actually. 134. Oops. What happened there? My bad. Oh, maybe I clicked something. All right. 90 frames. It's about 90 frames when I'm looking at the center of the map, which seems about what it was in the video. Still, for a 4 or 5 year old computer, that ain't bad. I mean, I'm pretty happy with that. But yeah, answer is no difference between Wayland and Xorg. It seems about what it was when I did my gaming video, and nice. I mean, hey, I will take that. Let's just quit. Oh, also another cool thing about Linux compared to this setup in specific, not necessarily Linux as a whole, but you can quit games like that. It just makes you so much more efficient. So I do love that. So yes, I do want to continue building this and making it a bit more friendly. Overall memory usage for this setup right now is 3 gigs because I have just a ton of stuff open. Let's close out of the stuff. Let's see what else we have. When we close out of Brave, we are down to 1.4 gigs of memory usage. So we had Brave open and some other stuff. And yeah, I like it. But we could do better. I'm going to continue tinkering with this, kind of optimizing the look of it. And then what I'm going to do is come back over to here, and instead of having all this GNOME garbage like Fedora has on stock default, I'm going to grab what's called Fedora Server, this one right here, and we'll do just a standard ISO image. But we'll download Fedora Server, and that's just the CLI, and then I'm going to build everything on top of it with the packages I need. But we'll take this 2000 packages that we see here. Right now we have 2000 packages. We're going to take that and bring it down to like 500. We'll shoot for 500, but definitely 1,000 or less. So we'll chop this at a bare minimum in half, with a goal of about a 75% reduction in the actual footprint of this install. Since I was just kind of messing around today, kind of putting together something that's real minimal, we can do that. John, I thought of a question that I got to ask. AT&T is coming tomorrow to upgrade me to 5 gig fiber. I just put a 10 gig NIC in today. Anything on Fedora I need to do? No, it should automatically recognize. If you do like an IPA, you should be able to see the state and the connection speed and all of that. Or actually not even here. Where is that Linux? I need to put in a GUI tool for that. But if you use a desktop environment, you could easily see it without doing CLI. But no, the answer is no. It should automatically recognize it at 10 gigs, and you should be fine. Use the minimal. Yeah, there's the net install I could do as well. But it doesn't matter typically between the ISO server install or the server net install. It just is, I guess the server net install would probably be best. Let's do that instead of the standard. Yeah, that's only 600 megs for the net install. We'll do the net install because it'll update it as well. Yeah, and as far as upgrading like my GPU, I see some people saying, man, Vega's pretty old at this point. And it is an old GPU. I've just been waiting for the prices to fall. A lot of people were saying this month we should see a pretty substantial reduction in this fall, which would be good. If I had to pull the trigger today, I'd probably buy a 6900 XT AMD card, because those are... last I checked, around $1,200, and the MSRP on them is $999, so about $1,000. So there's a $200 upcharge right now. But I have a feeling if I wait just a month or two, I could probably snag that same card for a couple $100 less, or maybe even more, because they might be releasing a new card this year, sometime this year. They will, and when that happens, the old gen obviously will get flushed out. So that'll be fun. That'll be good. But very, very cool. So that's kind of like my new desktop, my thought process behind it. And now that gaming is really, it feels like it's starting to come along a lot further away with EAC, the first EAC game, or first EAC AAA title competitive shooter game that is now coming to Linux, which was Apex, and it working better than the Windows counterpart. It was kind of shocking. That was the big thing. And now I want to build kind of my own little Steam OS, or my own perfect desktop to kind of live in. And that's kind of what I'm doing here, is building this. I will make a project very soon. Probably just be boring and just be like Fedora Titus, which I'll use the server install of Fedora to install minimal packages with a base server, and then add in Xorg, BSPWM, all the dependencies I need, and then get that package count greatly reduced is what's next on my mind. But right now I'm just wanting to finalize my config. Once all my config is finalized and all that is good, then I'll start fine-tuning, making images, and get that exactly how I want it, which would be great. Seeing if there's anything else in chat I missed. I don't think there is. All games won't run or just some. Try download. So sometimes a lot of people are confused about DirectX and Vulkan. Some games are made with Vulkan in mind, and if they are, they run on Linux for the most part, unless there's like EAC or BattleEye that could be problematic if they don't add the triggers in for Linux. But that's, I think, coming to an end this year, obviously, with Apex and other things. That's obviously getting fixed in their builds, which is great. The next thing is the DirectX games playing worse than the Windows counterpart, which is to be expected. However, Elden Ring is a DirectX game. Apex Legend was a DirectX game. And it playing better than the Windows counterpart was shocking. And I don't think I really spelled that out in my videos. There's a lot of games that do play better on Linux that already are native and are offering Vulkan support because they don't even need to do the conversion. These DirectX games, why it's so shocking is they're doing the conversion and still with that handicap coming out ahead in frames, which is really weird. Where a native game running as Vulkan, not DirectX, will play better almost every time in Linux because there is no conversion, there is no handicap, so it's just a one-to-one comparison, except Linux is half the overhead as a Windows box. So that's the big deal here, and why I really started making videos about it, and most people remember me crapping on Linux gaming for this past year because it really had not been there. A lot of the support just wasn't, and I was really thinking Steam Deck was going to be another Steam machines from 8 years ago where it would fall flat on its face, and I'm happy to report I was wrong, and it's not. That's why I was like, hey, this actually is better, and in these certain games. Now, it still has a lot of incompatibility issues. I'm not saying everybody run out and install Linux and all your games will work right. It just, some games do work better. And that is shocking. Where a couple years ago, I don't think I really could say that about any modern AAA title. Yes, there were some nice outliers that I did make videos about, like Fallout 3 from like the late 2000s and some older games that just had better emulation where they were designed for Windows XP or Windows 7, and Windows 10 just doesn't play them very well. But that was the exception. That was the only thing that worked better on Linux. And now there's games that are. Before I leave this, let me just beat the dead horse one last time, just to reiterate this. A good example of a Vulkan game now was I made a lot of gaming optimization videos for Path of Exile, which I've put about 300 hours in. And Path of Exile only had DirectX 9 and DirectX 11 support back when I made those videos in 2019. And I think I made one in 2020. No, I think it was all 2019. And the performance was not very good. It was like, hey, look, you can play this in Linux at a handicap, and the frame rates were a lot poor, and the frame rate times were awful with some jitters. And now, Path of Exile has a Vulkan option. It says beta, but Vulkan option works really good. Frame rates are buttery smooth, and it's just awesome. So that's the gist of all of it. And gaming on Linux is actually becoming a thing. Shockingly, I didn't think it would. I literally lost all hope, gave up last year, and I was just like, I can't. I'm just going to go back to Windows for my gaming and just call it a day. But I'm happy to report there are some games that do play better that are modern, which is a big thing I couldn't say 2 years ago. But, all right, guys. Well, tomorrow's video is going over sound cards. I know that's kind of a weird subject, but audio and sound cards is kind of like my jam, so I'm going to go ahead and do that video because I've been tinkering a lot with my audio, so much so I forgot how to do my background music and getting that piped in. My bad. I'll get that worked out here soon with that, so we'll have some background music for the next stream. Mark my words, unless I forget, and then just my voice with dead silence is what you'll hear for the next one if I don't fix it like this stream. But hopefully I showed some things and hopefully taught some things on this one. Open your eyes to a couple new things and developments that are happening that you can do in Linux now, which is pretty darn cool. I'm so happy. I have also gotten back to 3 videos a week. That's how happy I am. Going from 1 video a week down to back to 3 a week. So I've tripled my output. And, I probably have Linux to thank for that. There's always something new to learn and so many different paths to go down to optimize and just the world of possibilities. And I'm just having a good time. So, hey. I hope you all have a fantastic week. Thanks for stopping by the live stream, asking questions, and just chatting with me. I love this. That's why I do it every week, even though YouTube kind of hates you for doing live streams. I don't know why that is. Maybe it'll get fixed sometime. Regardless, every Friday, you can count on me being here unless I'm sick or on vacation. So, all right, y'all. Have a great one. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you in the next one.